My name is Elena. I'm a proud military wife and, above all, a mother. My husband Daniel is a commander in the Army, a man of discipline and honor. But my greatest pride has always been my little boy, my sunshine, my reason to keep going. And yet, on the happiest day of his young life, his birthday, something happened that no mother should ever have to witness. In front of balloons, family, and laughter, my own sister walked up to my child and slapped him. The sound silenced the room. My hands trembled, my heart shattered, and everyone just sat there, staring as if nothing had happened. But then, my husband, the man who commands soldiers with a single look, stood up, fixed his eyes on her, and said words that changed everything. Stay with me, because what happened next will make you rethink what family really means. I had been planning this day for weeks. Every mother dreams about milestones like this. The first laugh, the first steps, the first birthday. I wanted everything to be perfect, a memory my son would look back on in pictures and know how deeply he was loved. The house smelled of vanilla frosting and fresh flowers. Bright blue and yellow balloons floated in every corner, and streamers stretched across the living room like little rainbows. In the center of the table sat the cake, a soft chocolate sponge, covered in clouds of white cream, with a single candle waiting to be lit. Relatives filled the room, their voices blending into cheerful chatter. Some laughed over plates of snacks, others took pictures near the decorations. I remember glancing at my husband, tall, calm, his uniform jacket set aside for once. Even he smiled, his eyes softening every time they landed on our little boy. And my son. Oh, he was the brightest star of the evening. His tiny hands clapped as everyone sang, his giggles filling the air like music. He wore a tiny birthday crown that kept slipping to one side, and each time, I gently adjusted it while kissing his soft hair. I stood back for a moment, my heart swelling with pride. This was supposed to be a perfect day. A day about love, family, and new beginnings. But little did I know, beneath all the laughter and the decorations, a storm was already waiting to break. I heard the sharp click of heels before I even saw her. My sister walked in like she owned the room, head high, sunglasses still on though we were indoors, her perfume announcing her presence before her voice did. She had always been that way, flashy, loud, and impossible to ignore. The room shifted slightly when she entered. Some of the relatives smiled politely, others exchanged quick glances. They all knew what I knew. Whenever she showed up, peace had a way of leaving. "Wow," she said, dragging the word out as her eyes scanned the decorations. "All this for a baby? Don't you think it's a little much?" Her laugh followed, light but sharp enough to sting. My stomach tightened. I forced a smile, brushing off her comment like I had done so many times before. "It's his special day," I said softly. She shrugged, tossing her designer bag onto the couch. "If you say so." As she walked past me, she leaned in just close enough for only me to hear. "Always trying too hard, aren't you?" Her words cut, but I swallowed the hurt and straightened my shoulders. I couldn't let her ruin this day. Not today. Still, a shadow of unease lingered in my chest. I tried to shake it off, focusing on my son's laughter and the warm smiles around the room. But deep down, a familiar worry whispered, if she could turn this day upside down, she would. And I didn't realize then. She was about to do exactly that. The living room was glowing with soft light, balloons bobbing gently in the air, and the smell of fresh cake floating through the space. My little boy sat on the floor, surrounded by colorful wrapping paper, giggling as he tore into each gift with his tiny hands. His laughter was music, pure, innocent, the kind that wrapped itself around my heart and made every late night, every sacrifice worth it. Relatives clapped and cheered as he held up a toy car, waving it proudly. My mom snapped pictures, and for a moment, it truly felt like the perfect birthday I had dreamed of. I moved through the crowd, refilling drinks, adjusting plates, making sure everyone was comfortable. On the outside, I was smiling, but inside I was on edge. Because every so often, my sister's voice would cut through the warmth like a blade. "Is this the cake?" she said loudly when she spotted it on the table. Huh. I thought with your husband being such a commander, you could at least afford something bigger. Some guests shifted uncomfortably. I forced another smile, brushing her remark aside as if it didn't sting. It's his favorite flavor. That's all that matters, I replied softly. But she wasn't done. At one point, she leaned toward me while I was picking up wrapping paper and whispered, "You act like this party makes you some perfect mom. Newsflash, you're not." Her words hit like tiny darts, but I refused to let her see me break. My boy's laughter was stronger than her venom, and I clung to it. I told myself over and over, don't let her win. Today is about him. Still, deep in my chest, tension was curling tighter with every passing second, as though the day was walking on glass, and all it would take was one wrong step for everything to shatter. It happened so fast, and yet in my memory it still plays in slow motion. My little boy, clutching his tiny sippy cup, toddled toward the coffee table where my sister sat in her flashy dress. He stumbled, just a little wobble, and the cup tipped. A small splash of juice landed on the corner of her outfit. Before I could even move, before I could even breathe, her hand flew. Smack. The sound cracked through the room louder than the music, louder than the laughter that had filled it moments before. My baby's head jerked slightly to the side, his big eyes widening in shock. And then, he cried. Not the usual whimper, but a raw, broken wail that clawed straight into my chest. I froze. My body refused to move, my brain refused to believe. Did she just... My heart stopped beating for a second. My sister had slapped my baby. Gasps fluttered around the room, a few hands went over mouths, but then... silence. Everyone just sat there, watching. No one said a word. No one moved. The world blurred, but instinct snapped me back. I rushed forward, scooping my son into my arms, holding him tight as his sobs shook against me. My own tears threatened to spill, but anger burned hotter. I looked at her, my own sister, standing there with her hand still half raised, face twisted in irritation. "He ruined my dress," she spat, as if that somehow excused the unthinkable. My voice cracked as I whispered, more to myself than to anyone else, "She hit my baby. She hit my baby." And in that moment, my heart didn't just break. It shattered. The sound of my son's sobs echoed in my ears like sirens, each cry tearing me open wider. My hands trembled as I held him close, kissing the top of his head, whispering, "It's okay. Mommy's here." But then something inside me snapped. I turned on my sister, my voice shaking but fierce. "How dare you? He's just a baby! My baby!" My chest heaved, the room spinning around me as my words ricocheted off the walls. Instead of remorse, she rolled her eyes. "Oh, for God's sake, you're overreacting. It was just a little tap. He'll be fine. Look at him. He's crying because you're making it worse." Her dismissiveness made my blood boil. My baby's cheek was still red from her hand, and she had the audacity to call it nothing. I screamed back, my voice cracking. "You slapped him! You put your hands on my child! How could you?" The guests shifted uncomfortably. A few looked down at their plates. Some sipped their drinks as if hiding behind the rims of their glasses. No one moved. No one said a word. Silence pressed in, heavy and suffocating. Their stillness hurt more than the slap itself. This was supposed to be family, our family. Yet here they were, sitting frozen, pretending not to see. Betrayal stung sharper than any blade. I wasn't just fighting my sister. I was standing alone in a room full of people who chose silence over justice. I clutched my son tighter, tears finally spilling down my cheeks. In that moment, I realized something. The worst wound wasn't my sister's hand. It was everyone else's silence. The silence was suffocating. My baby's sobs echoed in the quiet room, and my own tears blurred everything around me. No one, not one person, had stood for us. And then, I felt it. A shift in the air. From the corner of the room, my husband rose to his feet. Calm, controlled. Yet beneath that calm, I could feel the storm brewing inside him. The laughter, the clinking of glasses, the false sense of family celebration, all of it died the moment he stood. His uniform wasn't on, but he didn't need it. His presence alone commanded attention. The chatter silenced. The guests stiffened. Even my sister, so loud and smug a moment ago, faltered under his gaze. He stepped forward, slow, deliberate. His eyes, steady, unblinking, locked on her. No yelling, no theatrics, just a voice low and razor-sharp. "Get out." The words sliced through the air like steel. For a heartbeat, no one moved. My sister's mouth opened, but no sound came. She looked around the room for support, for someone to defend her, but found only lowered eyes and uncomfortable silence. He didn't repeat himself. He didn't need to. The command hung heavy, undeniable. And in that moment, I saw it. The truth. This wasn't just my fight anymore. My husband had taken his stand. We weren't alone. The room felt frozen in time. You could almost hear the clock ticking on the wall, each second louder than the last. My sister's face twisted in disbelief. She let out a bitter laugh, trying to brush it off. "Are you serious? Over a little accident? She's overreacting." But his voice cut through hers like thunder breaking a storm. Calm, steady, unshakable. I said, "Get out." The way he said it, there was no room for debate, no room for excuses. It wasn't just a request, it was an order. Her bravado faltered. She looked around the room again, desperate for someone to defend her. But the guests stayed silent, eyes downcast, shifting uncomfortably in their seats. The same people who had laughed minutes ago now looked like statues. For once, my sister realized she had no power here, not against him. I clutched my baby tighter, burying his tear-streaked face against my shoulder. My arms trembled, but I held him as if I could shield him from every cruelty in the world. Tears stung my eyes again. But this time it wasn't just from pain. It was from relief, from the overwhelming knowledge that someone had finally stood up for us when no one else would. The silence stretched on, thick and suffocating, until the sound of her heels clicking across the floor told me everything. She was leaving. And this time, she wasn't coming back. The air cracked as the front door slammed shut behind her. The echo rattled through the walls, lingering like the aftershock of an earthquake. For a moment, no one moved. The silence felt heavier than her presence ever had. Then came the whispers, low, uneasy murmurs rippling through the room. I didn't think she'd actually do that. Unbelievable. She went too far. A few guests shuffled toward me awkwardly. One leaned close, voice soft, almost ashamed. "I'm sorry we didn't say anything sooner. We just didn't know what to do." I nodded, but words failed me. Because the truth was, their silence had spoken louder than anything else that day. I looked down at my son, his little fists curled tight, his cheeks still flushed from crying. My heart ached at the memory of what had just happened, her hand striking his innocent face. Relief washed over me in waves. She was gone. She couldn't hurt him again. But beneath that relief was heartbreak. A raw, aching grief that my own sister had crossed a line no one should ever cross. I pressed a kiss to my son's temple, breathing him in, promising myself in that moment, never again. No one will ever lay a hand on you while I'm still breathing. And though the laughter of the party never returned, a quiet strength settled inside me. Something had broken, yes, but something stronger was just beginning to rise. The room was still heavy with whispers, but he didn't hear them. My husband crossed the space between us in just a few steps, his calm presence wrapping around me like armor. He didn't need to shout or explain. His eyes, steady and unwavering, said everything. He reached out, placing a firm hand on my shoulder, the other gently brushing our son's tiny fingers. "You're not alone," he said quietly, but with the strength of a vow. "Not now, not ever. This is our family, and I'll protect you both with everything I have." Tears blurred my vision, the anger, the hurt, the betrayal, all of it softened under the weight of his words. I leaned into him, resting my head against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. In that moment, it wasn't about the party, the guests, or even my sister's betrayal. It was about us, our little family, bound together not just by love, but by an unshakable promise. He kissed my forehead, whispering again, "We're stronger than this. Together, nothing can break us." And as I held my baby close and felt his warmth beside me, I knew he was right. What had tried to divide us had only pulled us closer. Our unity was no longer just love. It was strength. It was protection. It was home. The house felt different after that day. Quieter, calmer. It was as if the storm had passed, leaving behind skies that were finally clear. My sister never came back. No phone calls, no apologies, not even whispers from her side of the family. And for the first time in years, I didn't chase after her, didn't beg for peace, didn't try to fix what had always been broken. I realized something that day. Sometimes family doesn't mean love. Sometimes family means boundaries, the kind that protect your heart and the people you hold dearest. The days after the party were simple but peaceful. I woke up each morning to the sound of my baby's laughter, to my husband's steady presence beside me. No tension, no fear of another cruel remark, no weight pressing down on me. Just us. Just love. And in that quiet, I found my strength again. The party that was supposed to be perfect hadn't gone the way I planned, but in its own painful way, it gave me a gift I didn't expect. Freedom. Freedom from the cycle of hurt, freedom to protect my child, and freedom to finally choose peace. I held my son close one evening and whispered, "You'll grow up knowing love, not pain. That's my promise to you." And I meant it. Looking back now, I see that day as a turning point in my life. For so long, I had tried to balance love for my sister with the responsibility of being a mother. But when she slapped my baby, everything became clear in an instant. My child's safety and happiness will always come first. There is no compromise. I also realized something else. Strength doesn't always roar. So, me times, strength is found in quiet choices, in saying enough, in refusing to let anyone harm the people you love. And I didn't have to carry that strength alone. My husband's support gave me more than just comfort. It gave me courage. Watching him stand up for us reminded me that family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by love, loyalty, and protection. Together, we've built a safe home, one where our son can grow up knowing he's cherished, respected, and defended. And as for me, I've grown too. I'm no longer the woman who stayed silent, who swallowed hurt just to keep the peace. I'm the mother who stands firm, the wife who knows she's not alone, the woman who learned that sometimes the greatest gift comes from the hardest lesson. And I'll never forget it. Motherhood has taught me many things, but the greatest lesson is this. You can bend, you can forgive, you can endure. But when it comes to your child, you stand unshakable. That night, long after the last guest had left, I sat in the quiet of our living room with the balloons half deflated and wrapping paper scattered across the floor. My son was finally asleep in his crib, his little chest rising and falling in the sweetest rhythm. I should have been happy. After all, it was his birthday. But my heart felt heavy, bruised by the events of the day. I looked at the doorway where my sister had stood earlier, her eyes full of arrogance as she brushed off what she had done. That image replayed in my head over and over. The sound of her hand striking my baby's cheek still echoed inside me like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his little face twist in confusion and pain, his tiny hands reaching for me, as if asking, "Mama, why?" I whispered into the silence, "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm sorry I didn't stop it sooner." My husband came and placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. He didn't say much. He didn't need to. His presence alone was a reminder that I wasn't alone in this fight. He had stood up for us when no one else did. He had made it clear that our family's safety came first, no matter what. That strength of his, it became the anchor I needed in that storm. But even with him by my side, I knew this moment demanded something deeper from me. I used to believe keeping peace in the family meant keeping quiet, even when I was hurt. I grew up in a household where you didn't make scenes, where you swallowed your feelings because family comes first, where I was told that forgiveness was the highest form of love, even when it meant erasing my own pain. But that day, when my sister slapped my baby, I realized silence is not peace, it's surrender, and I will never surrender when it comes to protecting my son. I thought back to all the smaller moments that led here, the cutting remarks, the dismissive laughter, the times my sister had tried to belittle me in front of others. I let them slide because I thought it was better not to fight. I thought it was better to keep the family together. But where had that left me? Alone, crying in my kitchen with my baby in my arms, while the rest of the family sat in silence as if nothing had happened. That silence hurt almost as much as the slap itself. Resilience, I've learned, isn't about being tough every moment. It isn't about pretending nothing can hurt you. No. Resilience is about choosing to rise again, even when your heart feels broken into pieces. It's about standing back up, not because you don't feel pain, but because you know something greater depends on you. My son depends on me. His entire world, his sense of safety, his understanding of love, it all begins with me. If I allow others to cross that line, to harm him or disrespect him, what lesson does that teach him about his own worth? That thought shook me to my core. I want my child to grow up knowing this. His mother never let him down. His mother never allowed anyone, not even blood, to hurt him without consequence. The days that followed the party were strange. Some relatives called me, trying to smooth things over. She didn't mean it, they said. You're overreacting. The same words my sister had thrown in my face. I listened quietly, but in my mind I kept repeating the truth. No one touches my child. No one. Others avoided me altogether, afraid to pick a side. And maybe that was the hardest pill to swallow, that people I had once trusted chose comfort over courage. But then there were a few who surprised me. A cousin who texted late at night, "I wish I had spoken up. You were right." An aunt who whispered over the phone, "She crossed a line, and I don't blame you for cutting her out." It reminded me that sometimes it only takes one strong stand to shake others awake. One evening, I sat rocking my baby to sleep, humming softly while he clutched my finger with his tiny hand. His cheek, once red from the slap, was now soft and healed, but in my heart, the mark remained. I kissed his forehead and made a promise. Never again. I will always protect you. No one will ever make you feel small or unsafe, not while I'm here. Tears rolled down my cheeks, not just from pain, but from a fierce, unbreakable love. In that moment, I realized something powerful. Motherhood had turned me into a warrior, not with weapons or armor, but with love so strong it could burn down every wall of fear and tradition. So if you take one thing from my story, let it be this. Never let anyone, not even family, cross the line when it comes to your child. Family is not defined by blood. It's defined by love, respect, and protection. Your duty as a parent is stronger than tradition, stronger than obligation, stronger than fear. I stood up that day, and because of that, my child will grow up knowing his mother never let him down. And that's something I'll carry with pride forever. The balloons from his party may,